It's the 1st of March 2018. I'm in a little town called Thésée in France, next to Lyon. I came here for a week in silence, a silence retreat. And today when I was walking through the fields, it felt like I should make a video about why I decided to stop my psychotherapy training, which I haven't officially told the school yet, but it feels like the decision is pretty much made in my heart. I felt quite clear about it when I was on the bus on my way to Thésée. I started doing it last year. I've been throughout the whole year. And the training takes 4 years, so I would have 1/4 of it done if I decided to keep going. So why have I decided to stop? I've studied psychology for 6 years. I did master's program, which takes 5 years, but I had dean's leave for 1 year after my 3rd year. Because of some trauma I needed to process. So it was a lot of work. I've put a lot of work and pursuing the dream of becoming a psychotherapist. It felt like a dream job to me. It felt like the only thing I could ever do and be happy about. I even wrote it in my book. I wrote in my book, The Heavy Volume of Aliens, that I recently published, that being a psychotherapist is the only job I can actually do. And the thought of that helped me to keep going when I was struggling from my own mental health crisis. Or, doesn't matter what you label it. So why can't I do it? Why, after all these years of studying and dreaming of becoming a therapist, I felt like that's not the job that I want to do. Well, first of all, I realized that my calling is to help people who are going through similar experiences to mine. I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 20. I've been through episodes of so-called mania, depression, and finally psychosis. And I've done plenty of work towards understanding these states, learning mechanisms to help myself when they come, and to prevent from they happening or handling them in a better way, that they serve me and that they don't destroy my life and my well-being. That's where all my energy was going the last couple of years. And it feels that the knowledge I have about mental health is mainly in that. That's my biggest strength. It's my biggest gift to be able to navigate through what we call mania, depression, and psychosis. And when I enrolled in a psychotherapy course, the teachers told me we're not supposed to be taking on patients with diagnosis of bipolar or schizophrenia, or patients that are too deeply depressed and are on medication, because they are difficult patients to work with, and we're not going to be taught how to deal with these kind of patients. And I felt, what's my business in here then? I wanted to become a psychotherapist to help people that are ill, not the ones that are doing well. And people who struggle with these kind of problems, they don't usually have a lot of money. They can't afford a weekly psychotherapy. They can't pay, well, in my country, in Poland, it's like $25 an hour, $30, for some therapists $40. They can't afford it, and it's not enough. because their pain lies deep. There are many levels on which they need healing. They need social support. They need good nutrition, finding the right diet, diagnosing some allergies a lot of them have, getting the right exercise, finding a spiritual practice that is aligned with their beliefs, with their belief system. So I realized that for me, in my recovery, psychotherapy was absolutely not enough. And what helped me the most was probably not therapy. I'm not the therapist, but peer support. People who have been through, I have been through, who told me I was going to be okay, that I was not the only one, that I wasn't mad, that I wasn't ill, and that there was a life after the crisis. And it was going to be much better than before, which turned out to be true. So I was given hope, I was given direction, I was given friendship, fellowship. That's what communities used to do for each other before we started to be so individualistic and separate. So that helped me. Artistic expression, expressing myself artistically, and also spiritual practice. Also, so the first, my first problem with psychotherapy is, first I want to help the patients that my school doesn't seem to be wanting to help. The second one was that I don't believe psychotherapy is enough for people with these conditions. And the third one is that now I am absolutely sure a huge part of my experience was spiritual. Now I'm not going to go into details. I don't think it matters that much towards my religious orientation. But I have met many people with my diagnosis with experiences of the so-called psychosis, and very, very often what we seem to have in common is belief and experience, a lived experience, that these experiences were transformative, that they were not a random chemical imbalance, that there was something going on that was from a different reality, that was from a different dimension. And when closely looked at and understood, gave very useful clues on how to live life, which changes have to be made in order to live a better, more fulfilling, meaningful life. So that's number 3. And number four is that 6 months ago I diagnosed myself with addiction issues, and I started a 12 steps program. And when I started to work the steps, I realized how much codependency I'm dealing with. How feeling in my childhood that I have to save my mother and my father and my brother and basically help the whole sinking family system. How I took that and went with that into my adult life. And then I realized that a huge part of my vocation to be a therapist was coming out from this codependency. And when I started to heal from codependency, a desire to be listening to others 8 hours a day disappeared. Now I still feel like helping others is a big part of my identity. I feel like service is a very important part of my recovery, both when it comes to addiction and my other mental health issues. But basically I think, service is important to anyone. We're all connected. We all need one another. But I'd like to help in a much more peer way, feeling like we're equal, not trying to show anyone anything, to direct anyone in any particular direction, just to let them be and be with them. That's what I feel like doing, and I can't imagine myself being in this hierarchy. I'm the therapist, you're the patient, taking money for it. It just doesn't feel like something I would like to be doing right now. So there it is, for reasons. There are probably more, but these are the main ones that strike me like the biggest obstacle for me to carry on with the program. Will I ever become a therapist in the future? Maybe. I don't know. It feels like I need to take some time off that environment. I'm 26, which isn't that old really for a therapist. I think the older you are in this field, the better. A great poet, Rilke, said in his book Letters to a Young Poet that a poet should be at least 40. I think for a therapist it's probably about the same. The older you become, the better of a therapist you're going to be. So hopefully I still have some time to figure it out, and in the meantime I'm really enjoying my life, and I'm doing my work towards recovery and a more fulfilling and honest life